The free trade agreement being negotiated between India and Britain for about 2 years now is being delayed, but not, it seems, primarily over disputes over trade in goods, so that when the British want more Scotch whisky to flow into India at reduced tariffs and India wants more apparel to get into the UK, these are not matters that are holding up agreement.
I always said that it would be good to have an ambitious and comprehensive trade deal with India for all those reasons, but we can't rush it, and I won't rush it. I've always said I want to take the time to get trade deals right so that they work for the British people, they work for the UK, and lots of progress has been made on this one, but we're not there yet, so we've got to keep going.
The delay is coming from other issues, and Dr. Prachi Agarwal, who is senior trade economist at ODI, the global affairs think tank, sees three issues in the way.
The first issue we know obviously is the big one, the professional visas, where India is trying to push for more professional visas in the UK. But we need to remember that immigration is usually not an FTA issue. I mean, historically, immigration has not been negotiated in an FTA. And yes, India is pushing for it because it's a major point for them. But we know that the UK Home Office is really worried about its implications.
India does appear to be negotiating hard for movement of more Indian professionals to the UK and for longer. But there are other issues that have arisen that are not about trade in goods.
The second main issue would be IPR in medicines, IPR as in intellectual property rights. The British negotiators are pushing for stricter IPR regulations for India, but this would eventually mean that Indian generic medications become more expensive, not just for within India, but also for other countries that import Indian generic medication.
It would damage the Indian pharma sector, and it would damage healthcare around the world and in Britain itself. Finally, differences have arisen over services.
The third issue is about services. So traditionally, a lot of times in historical FTAs, services negotiations are always pushed to the end. Goods are negotiated first, but services are always pushed to the end because they are a little bit more complicated than goods trade. So essentially in goods, you say, okay, I give you 5% concession on my oranges, you give me 5% concessions on apples. But in services, it's a bit more complicated. So it includes a whole range of regulatory and licensing requirements that companies and individuals have to adhere to. So, for example, if an Indian doctor wants to go and practice in the UK, they have to register with various organizations, they have to go through licensing requirements. And similarly, if a UK architecture firm wants to start practicing in India, they also have to go through a whole myriad of complicated procedures. So essentially, that could hold up the deal.